Welcome back to The Explainer. We've got a seriously fascinating two-part journey lined up for you today. First, we're going to objectively unpack a highly polarizing industry controversy, one that's got the entire trucking world talking right now, and one that really exposes some of the invisible fragilities in our everyday supply chain. And then, for a bit of a palate cleanser, we're shifting gears completely to check out a high-octane custom truck feature that is absolutely going to blow your mind. So whether you're here to figure out the complex logistics keeping our store shelves stocked, or you just love the roar of a massive custom engine, we've got something for you.
So here is our agenda for today. 1. The controversial ICE request. 2. Trucking community reactions. 3. Solving the vetting problem. 4. Meet the bootlegger truck. And 5. The state of trucking culture. Let's dive right in.
Section 1. The controversial ICE request, a plea from freight brokers. Recently, a highly debated video just spread like wildfire across the internet, getting really amplified in tight-knit groups like American Truckers United. It features a direct plea from freight brokers regarding immigration enforcement, and man, it instantly sparked a massive debate about accountability in the supply chain.
Just listen to this exact quote pulled from the source video. Please, it's just a request that if you want to arrest someone or if you want to deport someone, at least let us deliver the load first. Once the loads get delivered, he's all yours. Basically, the broker was explaining that finding a replacement driver mid-delivery is incredibly hectic. And since the brokers are the ones ultimately responsible for recovering that load, they made this astonishing request. They're essentially asking to pause ICE deportations mid-route, literally just long enough to get the freight to its final destination.
But you know, that plea instantly triggered a huge counter-question from the industry. Why book loads with unvetted drivers in the first place? I mean, if there's a known risk of a driver being stopped or deported mid-route because they're undocumented, the community's immediate reaction was to question the broker's initial hiring practices. It completely shifts the focus away from the logistical nightmare of a mid-route arrest and points directly to a massive compliance failure right at the beginning of the dispatch process. And hey, for anyone outside the industry, this really matters. Why? Because when vetting fails at the broker level, the entire supply chain feels the ripple effects of delayed or abandoned cargo.
Moving to Section 2. Trucking community reactions, backlash, and satire. The reaction from the trucking community was swift, highly critical, and, as you might expect in this industry, filled with some really biting satire. When the video first dropped, people actually thought it had to be AI generated because the request was just so bold. But once it was confirmed to be real,
wow, the comments just poured in.
First off, there's the most obvious criticism. Brokers should absolutely check a driver's legal status before hiring them. Plain and simple. But then we get to the satire. One of my favorite comments suggested enforcing a quote-unquote Dr. Seuss DOT test, meaning an officer pulls over a truck and literally asks the driver to read one fish, two fish just to verify them. Others pointed out that beyond just verifying CDLs, brokers need to start asking for insurance papers right off the bat to stop these middle-of-the-road disruptions. And crucially, a prevailing sentiment was that brokers need to be held to the exact same rigorous vetting standards as the carriers themselves. It has to be a two-way street.
This analogy brilliantly illustrates the community's frustration with the broker's underlying logic. Viewers pointed out that asking ICE to delay a deportation so a load can be delivered is exactly like asking police officers to let you drive your car back to your house before they arrest you for driving without a license. I mean, it completely bypasses the rule of law purely for the sake of logistical convenience. It's a super powerful analogy, and it perfectly highlights why the trucking community had absolutely zero tolerance for this plea.
All right, Section 3, solving the vetting problem, ensuring compliance. So you might be wondering, how does the industry actually fix this? Because while viral videos highlight the chaotic extremes, the legitimate side of the industry actually has established rigid mechanisms to combat these exact vetting failures.
the crucial point here is how load boards step up as the ultimate gatekeepers. Platforms like truckstop.com have strict enforcement policies to make sure consumers and businesses aren't left stranded by supply chain failures. Step 1. They mandate active authority for all participating brokers, period. It is simply not optional. Step 2. They actively and thoroughly vet both freight brokers and carriers. Like we said, accountability goes both ways. And Step 3. They instantly revoke platform access if that authority is ever lost. This is how the legitimate industry actively shuts down unvetted dispatching. It keeps everything strictly above board so you never end up in a crazy situation where brokers are begging law enforcement for a delivery delay.
Section 4. Meet the bootlegger truck. Shifting gears to custom builds. Okay, let's take a collective breath and completely shift gears. We are diving into the enthusiast side of trucking culture now.
If you love high-octane engineering and massive horsepower, you are going to absolutely love this. We are officially meeting a custom build known simply as the Bootlegger. 112. That number represents the incredible top speed in miles per hour that this custom truck has hit on the drag strip. And hey, it didn't just crawl its way up there. It did that with a blisteringly fast 12.6-second runtime. For a massive piece of heavy machinery, hitting those kinds of numbers is just absolutely wild.
Let's break down exactly how it gets that fast, because these specs are just mind-blowing. The Bootlegger was built by Todd Stewart over at Redneck Diesel Performance. Under the hood, it is rocking a massive 14-liter Detroit engine. But the chassis is where the engineering gets truly crazy. They literally took a 1961 white cab and moved it over onto a Brinks Security armored truck chassis. How cool is that? On top of that, it is completely custom powder-coated in-house. Todd actually has a rule: if it's not black or chrome, it gets powder-coated. The level of craftsmanship here is stellar. And the absolute best part, they are not stopping at 112 miles per hour. Their goal is to hit 130 miles per hour by the end of the year to completely dominate their drag racing class. Just an absolute beast of a machine.
And finally, Section 5, State of Trucking Culture, Community, and Connection. That incredible passion for the hardware we just talked about feeds perfectly into our final topic today. Because beyond the heavy logistics, the dispatch debates, and the strict rulebooks, this industry is fundamentally driven by a really deep sense of community and connection. Recent events like the Texas Trucking Show really highlight that massive community connection. The source material noted how incredible it was to see thousands upon thousands of drivers showing up just to support the culture. You know, it's a place for great conversations, sharing vital information, and supporting fresh new ventures, like the soft launch of BigRigTees.com for trucker apparel. It's a wonderful reminder that despite the intense, sometimes isolating demands of the job out on the open road, the truckers themselves really form a deeply connected, supportive family when they all come together. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Looking back at the two very different sides of the industry we explored today, we really have to ask ourselves, where must the line be drawn between the intense pressure of logistical demands and the absolute necessity of strict industry compliance? We've seen how chaotic things get when vetting fails, right? But we've also seen the incredible heights the community can reach when they pour their passion into their craft. It's a complex, ever-evolving dynamic, and it's one that is definitely going to continue shaping the future of freight in America. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this leaves you eager to explore these fascinating industry dynamics even further. Keep learning.